Hello and welcome. I'm Ian Unger.
And I'm Logan Flaming.
And together we host the Ultimate Fan Podcast, the show where the greatest fans discuss the greatest in entertainment across the universe. Are you ready, Logan?
I'm ready. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Tonight is cold. Colder than usual.
God. I didn't even think that you were going to start off on one of the puns, but you were just there.
It feels like a cold... Spring is coming. Spring is here. We've had spring break, but it's a winter's night tonight. Because there's a winter soldier coming.
I don't have any response.
Coming into our conversation. Okay. So, on the topic of spring break, though, just wanted to update you listeners, Ultimate fans. We've been out for a little bit. Haven't posted in a little while. Just had some life stuff,
real life stuff, and then the craziness of Easters.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah, but we're back at it, and we're driving hard to Infinity War.
Yeah, and we're excited.
Which we're less than a month out from.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm so stoked.
So close. Counting down the days. Oh man, what is it? 24 days.
Dang.
From actually. Technically,
we need to get cracking.
Technically, the 26th, because we'll see it on Thursday.
Oh, true.
Have you bought your ticket yet?
No, we need to work on that. Have you?
I haven't bought mine.
Yeah, we should coordinate time
I've
soon.
been waiting to talk to you about it. Also, fans out there, tickets are available. Not going to tell you when we're going, but if you should get on that if you're excited to see Avengers: Infinity War. Opening weekend's going to be selling out fast, probably wherever you live.
Going to be the biggest movie of the year.
Yeah. Man, do you think this will win any Oscars?
I mean, probably just the special effects stuff.
Yeah.
Nope, nothing.
Marvel doesn't usually take anything home.
No, if anything, it'll be costume design and the usual production stuff for films like this.
Do you think that's like a critical thing? Like they're just kind of snobby about stories and plot?
Yeah, honestly, it's just not viewed
ambiance.
It's not viewed as a serious film.
Yeah.
Like, say, like A Shape of Water or Three Billboards Under Ebbing, Missouri, or whatever it's called.
Buried under the ground. Well, that's interesting given our conversation tonight, because we're going to jump into Winter Soldier, which I think is one of the most serious films, and not like it's like a gritty it's
a very bright movie.
It's very
very bright.
Like colorful.
It's a lot of broad daylight
and
stuff.
Not, but I mean, like, it's in the realm of Marvel films. It's one of the more serious, dramatic. Yeah, like
it's not a Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as light and kind of like there's not as much levity and as much like like this is just a fun ride. It's like. Yeah, a little more dramatic.
This movie hits the balance of dramatic and comedic in the best way for me.
Yeah.
But like you had those fun moments of levity.
Yeah.
Balanced by like serious and dramatic stakes and performances.
Yeah. The levity
that's my favorite combination.
Yeah.
It's almost how Nolan tells these serious dramatic tales. Well, this film doesn't go as dark as that, but he tells the serious, dramatic story, but also gives us the fun moments of levity.
Yeah,
with humor. Although this movie's humor is way more successful.
I was going to say
it reminds me a lot of the ratio of like dramatic to laughs is kind of in the same way.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. This movie, it does the levity better. Like totally. You're right. The ratio is. It feels like the people who are in that situation in those moments. Like those characters, that is the type of humor they would actually respond with to their situations.
I don't think there's any forced comedic moments in these movies. No. There's just this is how people talk, and these are how these characters talk.
Yeah,
and there's going to be natural comedic moments that arise out of that, just as there would in any of our everyday comings and goings.
Yeah. On that note, just like kind of still covering the whole tone of the movie, I love how. Simultaneously, this movie is so comic book. I believe when you take into consideration just Captain America and what his comics are like, one of the most comic book influenced movies, while simultaneously being one of the most realistic. In that Cap and Bucky are really the only superpowered guys on the field, and their superpowers aren't like you know, it's not Hulk and it's not Thor. They're not shooting stuff out of their hands or flying around.
I wish Hulk shot stuff out of his hands.
Oh man, smaller Hulks.
I was thinking like
Fists.
Hulk with force lightning.
Oh my gosh! Actually, now I kind of want to see that, like a wise Hulk who like do you know Banner Jr. from like in the comics? He's like Banner's son in the future, but so he's in Hulk form permanently, but he has like he's like super intelligent.
Oh yeah,
super smart.
yeah. That was in a Bendis run, right?
Hickman.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually just read it.
Okay.
But anyways, like that moment.
I've read him before.
Yeah,
I think it was in a Bendis like Avengers story.
he might. Are you thinking of Hulkling?
No. This is a different story.
Okay, well let's get back on it. There's a scene at the end or near the end with like Falcon and Rumlow, or who will be Crossbones, and they're doing this classic movie trope thing where they're like they're squaring up. Two beefy guys are squaring up for a fight, and Rumlow's like talking about how much he's gonna just like put Falcon's face in the dirt, and Falcon's just like shut up. Like he just like cuts him off mid sentence, like let's fight. And I felt like it's totally realistic because people don't have those. They don't just stand around monologuing.
You caught me monologuing.
Yeah. But like they're also like it just feels both realistic and comic book at the same time. Because then the next thing is the shot of them like coming up to like lay a punch on each other at like crossing each other on the screen. But
so, did we see this movie together for the first time?
Ooh.
In theaters?
I think we did see it together.
I think we did.
I don't know if it was if it was your first time. When did it, do you know when it came out? Like what time of year?
Yeah, it came out first week of May.
Huh, that's a close one. We might have. So, first week of May, the school that we went to gets out in early May.
We usually get a Marvel movie during
like right
Dead Week.
At the end. Yeah. We were expecting we were expecting Infinity War to come out like after finals. Or it's either like finals or Dead Week.
Oh, we are expecting.
Or we were.
We were expecting.
But it got moved up, remember? Because it wasn't April 27th.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yep.
It got bumped up.
I was confused.
But yeah, we usually get around, and like a bunch of people would then be like, okay, it's Dead Week. Everybody get your tickets. Like last Friday before finals, we're all going to go watch the blockbuster Marvel movie of the summer. Marvel usually releases kind of what they think is, I think, their heavy hitter in May.
Yeah. They usually own that May date.
It's the Avengers.
Ever since the Avengers date.
Yeah.
They've owned it ever since then.
Yeah.
Did we see it together? We saw it at Valley River.
Yeah, I feel like we did. I feel like we're getting into territory where you and I were starting to watch all these movies together. Yeah. If not our first time, then we would see it once together or like
we saw
after.
Guardians together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but that was after this movie.
Yeah.
We didn't see Thor: The Dark World together. So yeah, this would have been like our first one together.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it come out 2013 or
2014?
2014, because Thor came out in November 2013, right?
Yes. Yep.
I'm just going to pull it up here.
Yeah. So my first theater viewing of The Winter Soldier was incredible. I was utterly floored, just over the moon. Easily my favorite Marvel movie at the time. The completely like
no comparison,
like to Avengers.
Well,
Avengers. I was like when I walked up. Well, the first thing I did, I remember like when I sat up from my chair, I'm like, I like that more and better than Avengers. Which to me, like that, everyone like when everyone said they were like, it was like that because Avengers is hallowed ground.
Yeah, yeah. It's still kind of
it is, but it was closer to. Its ground was a little bit more hallowed because of the event that it was. We were closer to that event.
Yeah, yeah. I actually feel a little. I kind of chafe against that, the fact that it's hallowed ground, because in rewatching it, I still love it, but in seeing like
where we've come,
just where we've come, and over time, I recognize more of that movie's flaws, and I'm like, like as an independent film, like we're saying, like if we compared it to Oscar films
as
or
a
something
singular
like that,
film.
yeah, like it's not the best film of all time, but it from like a comic book movie history perspective, it's incredible.
Yeah, and from a Marvel Universe perspective,
Yeah.
what it's able to do and do it as well as it does is amazing.
I think
it's so much fun still.
Yeah. And man, I still love it.
Yeah.
I think when I watched Winter Soldier, I wasn't really in this kind of mindset of comparing the different Marvel movies. I just kind of was consuming them one at a time and just thinking, like, I totally acknowledge that they were all in the MCU, but I definitely wasn't thinking about ranking. I think it was you who introduced me to any sort of ranking system. And I just didn't think about like which one was my favorite. I just kind of like, as each one came out, I took it at it as it was. And I think at the time, I will say, compared to the other two movies in Phase 2 that like Iron Man 3 and Thor 2, it's very similar to the opening of this film. The Winter Soldier was just lapping those movies just time and time again.
Yeah. Just from a sheer like quality of script perspective. This movie's script is airtight. Yeah,
it knows what it's about from beginning to end.
Yeah, it's like the best films the best films know what they're trying to do. They know those general themes. It has an economy of motion within the script, and everything just works like a well-oiled machine to tell a singular story.
Yeah.
And it has something to say.
Yeah.
And this movie is that in spades in a way that Thor 2 and Iron Man 3 were not. And I would argue more so than any other film in the MCU at this point. It was just a well put together film.
I think even do you think even Avengers?
Oh yeah. This movie is so much more economical.
Like succinct, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so much more the dialogue is tighter, the pacing is tighter. Avengers has moments where it just kind of lulls.
Yeah.
And it has to spend a lot of time doing things that it has to do.
Yeah.
This movie is just able to take the relationships and really dig into them and turn what you believe on its head while challenging the characters and the viewers that are watching. And those are my favorite films.
I completely agree.
Empire does that. Dark Knight does that. Yeah.
I'll say and there's limited exposition. Probably the longest exposition scene is Zola. And the thing is, when you're watching that for the first time, you're not even like bothered by that.
No, because
you're
like,
caught up in
what?
What's
going on? Zola's back.
He's a computer.
Hydra is within S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, exactly. And you need that.
Bucky killed the Starks.
Well, does he say that?
He shows a news.
That's true.
A newspaper clipping of like accidents will happen, and then you see
the Starks
murder.
Yeah. But I don't
know. That's when Cap finds out.
Do you think that's insinuated that it's Bucky?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because in Civil War, Cap says
he knew.
He said he thought but he didn't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then because Tony's like, you knew, or did you know? And he's like, yeah.
He says it. I believe he says, I knew.
I don't think he does. We're gonna watch it soon, guys. We're gonna watch Civil War soon.
I'm really excited. All I wanted to do after I finished this movie tonight was just pop in Civil War.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, I was so ready to keep going.
But what's the other? There's another big. There's kind of the catch you up from Captain America: First Avenger.
Oh,
when
the
he's
museum.
going to the Smithsonian.
The museum, yeah.
But even that, it's such a cool way to kind of do that, though, like a little recap.
Totally. Because you're seeing Cap kind of revisit his past as well.
Yeah, and it sets up.
It's not just telling the audience what happened before. It's you're seeing how the past is impacting our character in the present as we're watching it.
And I think you pointed out a really good thing as we were watching it is that this movie had way more hype after the success of Avengers. That there are probably a lot of people who came to see this who didn't watch the first Captain America.
Totally.
And that's a very succinct recap of that film.
It's like the opening page of a comic.
Exactly. And it hits the main points. Bucky, his main villain is Hydra. So the name Hydra isn't what? Who's Hydra? SSR, Bucky.
Peggy.
And then that really cool transition from that interview with Peggy to his scene with her. And before, let's kind of wrap up this intro before we get super into the movie. But I think, it's just cover to cover. It shows us rather than telling us stuff. Like Nick Fury's car, we don't have this like James Bond-esque scene where they show us all the gadgets for Fury's car, that it's intelligent and that
you don't
it
have
works.
a Q scene.
Yeah, we don't have all that. So that way we like have proof, or that way ahead of time we know that his car, we don't have to know everything that car can do before we see it do it. Just show us the car doing it and we'll believe you. Like, we'll be like, oh, his car can do that? Oh, his car can do that? That's cool. Which also, side note, is one of the things, like, one of my main beefs with people who throw trash at The Last Jedi is like, when characters in a fictional universe are given new abilities, who cares? Like, it's a fictional universe.
Exactly. Unless it's like contradicting the past or just completely wacky and not coherent with what came before.
Yeah.
By all means, introduce new things.
Yeah.
That's called keeping it fresh and exciting.
Yeah, exactly. In Return of the Jedi, the Emperor shoots lightning out of his fingertips.
Yeah, you didn't have an explanation for that. And in Empire Strikes Back, when Luke grabs the lightsaber hilt
totally
out
new.
of the snow, that's completely new.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anyone complaining about that.
And it's a super cool moment. And that's how I feel about Nick Fury's car. That whole scene is us figuring out what Fury's car can do. Just as the scene.
That's exciting.
Yeah, from the moment he crashes, it just looks like a normal like Escalade. Maybe he's got a GPS on it, and then the next thing we know, his car's bulletproof up to like maybe like a 50 caliber, and like it has a sentry gun in it.
It can fly.
It can fly. It's just disabled. Yeah, all this stuff. Super cool.
Yeah.
Well, shall we get in? Start at the beginning.
Yeah. So the opening of this film doesn't start with a prologue.
That's true. Stand out from
all right. So
the other solo
there's already
movies.
a narrative difference between Thor 2 and Iron Man 3, the last two films that came before this.
Even
Avengers.
I think every film that came before it. Iron Man 2,
Iron Man, Incredible Hulk. Yeah. It's the first Marvel film without any sort of like prologue-esque thing.
Iron Man 2, yeah, they have wait, does Iron Man 2 have a prologue?
Yeah, it has.
Iron Man 3 has the 1990s thing.
Yeah, Iron Man 2 has what's his name?
Oh, you're
Vanko.
right. Ivan.
And his dad dying.
Man, I already forgot his name.
Yeah.
And I was fighting
Whiplash.
for him. Well, I know Whiplash. I can remember like his
Ivan Vanko.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this starts out with just like a great like introduction to Falcon, Sam Wilson's character.
Yeah.
And just getting to see like Cap meet him.
Yeah.
And just have a really fun comedic moment and a great like way to start the movie off.
Yeah.
And also you hear like Cap's like first Avenger theme like right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so much fun.
I think this movie does it continues also, sorry man. This movie is just a great sequel. Like in terms of like as far as sequels go, it blows I think Iron Man 2, 3, and Thor 2 out of the water, and like, continuing that character and like, yeah, just does a good job. But what I was gonna say
Rabbit
is like,
Trail.
Yeah, I've got a lot of good things to say about this film. We might nitpick a little bit, but so I've heard from like directors and the creators that they wanted to be careful about the reception of Captain America. I believe that the first film was actually just released as the first Avenger in some countries because they didn't think like worldwide, like Captain America being this kind of American hero would have such a great reception because of maybe the USA's popularity,
anti-American sentiments.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I felt like this movie has some things that are similarly they're still kind of aware. There's an awareness of that, especially the themes that this movie covers. They're not just specific to America, but I do like the kind of grounding in all these things that just shout Captain America to us, like that opening shot being set like in Washington DC, and you can see the Washington Monument. and like the Lincoln. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Starting it off with like a sunrise and seeing that, super cool.
Yeah. I
love how Sam connects to Steve.
Yeah.
Talking about PTSD in that moment too.
Yeah.
And how they have we show that we show like common life experience between the two, even though it's like separated by decades of time. Mm-hmm. They're able to connect on that. And it also kind of ties into what Steve says later when he's talking to Tasha in the car on the run, where he's like, it's hard to find people who have shared life experience. And that's one of the reasons why he connects with Sam.
Yeah.
Is so well. And you see that later in the VA scene, is that they have shared life experiences.
Yeah.
And they can connect.
Yeah, they have like the experience of war and battle. I love one of the strengths of this movie, I think even more than just a lot of superhero movies in general, is their relatability. And that's one of Marvel's greatest strengths, from like what really set them apart and kind of kicked them off was characters like Peter Parker, who were heroes who had superpowers but were relatable because they had real world problems, and like he's just a high school kid who has a crush and is getting picked on and all this kind of stuff.
Breaks his girlfriend's neck.
Yeah. You know, like you do. Like,
yeah.
But this movie kind of harkens back to that. There's a lot of, we'll talk about it later, but there's a lot of relatability. Just very real characters who you feel like are going through relatable things. This is
the most, since Iron Man, I think the most grounded feeling.
Down to earth.
Like real world, in my opinion, superhero film that we've seen from Marvel.
Like these guys could actually be in DC right now as we're watching this movie. It could be happening.
Oh, I thought you meant like DC Comics.
No.
I was like, what? I'm not confused. I'm like, I don't want Snyder to get his hands on these guys.
I like how from the very beginning in that shot, we're just setting up
scene.
The like running his conversation with Falcon. We set up just a tone for Steve's arc in this film. This whole movie is his it's a very seamless continuation of the first Captain America movie and Avengers to him like adjusting to life here. And and let's get right into that battleship scene. His first mission. First off, I love that it just transitions right into it.
Into a more the way you would expect
the movie to open.
To traditionally open.
Yeah. With this hardcore, like fast cut action scene.
The Lemurian Star sequence is one of my favorite action sequences in all the MCU. And it establishes Cap's new level of powers and strength.
Yeah.
He's been
working out.
He's been doing missions. He's been putting in work ever since Avengers. Yeah. And his fighting style and his efficiency is on a whole new level.
Oh yeah.
And the way he works with the team is and his fighting capabilities is very much upgraded for this current present day.
I feel like
it's awesome. It's so well choreographed, and there's so many different cool moments in it.
So many kicks.
Yeah, so many great kicks that just demolish people. Some great shield work.
So many good lines.
The strike team is awesome, led by Rumlow. Seeing Black Widow be able to be Black Widow, be able to be a spy, and be able to not just be a spy, but be just infiltrate and be undercover and take down people. It's awesome.
It's on par or better than your favorite action moments in Mission Impossible and the Bourne trilogies.
Yeah.
You know,
it's and it's also totally consistent with Ed Brubaker's Captain America run, which is where the Winter Soldier came from, and as what a lot of this movie takes in like modern Captain America takes its influence from is from that Ed Brubaker Captain America run, and having even like the team up of Cap and Widow. That's a huge part of that run.
Yeah.
So this is to see like those type of action sequences and this type of mission go on in this is awesome to see as someone who's a fan of that run.
Yeah.
After I watched this movie, I dived I had read some of the Ed Brubaker Captain America run before the film. Like
I've only read
Winter Soldier
a
stuff.
very little bit of it.
I dived hardcore in, went and read every issue from the beginning of the run with the Winter Soldier up until a year after Civil War.
Yeah.
So I love getting to see that come to life.
I think I've
in
read
this action scene in this sequence.
I read parts of that first Winter Soldier arc, and I've read like post Civil War, that stuff.
After Cap's dead, Bucky's trying to figure everything out.
Frick, man. I was trying not to say
dude,
that.
I didn't realize I spoiled that. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't
We'll edit that
finished, hasn't read Captain America Civil War. I'm not editing that out.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Read your comics. It's been out for 10 years.
Also, if you haven't figured it out in comics, he comes back.
Yeah,
Everybody
that's how comics work.
Jeez. Yeah, that, man, so many good lines, so many good shots. Him jumping out of the Quinjet, just like, did he have a chute on? No, he didn't.
I love it. Yeah. And then you have Black Widow trying to set up Cap during the whole action sequence too.
I like how that's a running joke throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, and it kind of sets up Sharon.
Yeah.
Sharon Carter later in the film as well. Having Batroc the Leaper in this movie, super cool. After I watched this movie, I was like, man, this is a cool character. I didn't know anything about Batroc. And I went and did my research about Batroc and really got into the character.
If you guys,
he's really cool.
If you listeners aren't familiar, he's kind of the leader of the pirate gang that's taken over the ship, and he's the one who Cap fights kind of at the end of that whole sequence.
Yeah, an amazing boss battle.
Yeah,
with
a lot of
Batroc
kickboxing.
He's the guy in the purple and yellow. Yeah. And
one of the best choreographed fights in the MCU.
Oh yeah, so well done, so good. And then after that, we go to the reveal of Project Insight and Cap confronting Nick Fury.
Yeah.
What I was struck by, watching this movie last time, is the philosophical similarities between S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point and the Empire.
Yeah, we were talking about it a lot as we were watching. Actually, you can kind of, there's a lot of comparisons. Pierce is the Emperor. So especially
Rumlow / Crossbones is Darth Vader. Even gets burned up at the end and gets a suit.
Yeah. Especially compared to the prequel, kind of like the machinations and the coups and the plots to how Hydra has been playing this, they've been playing both sides of the board, setting themselves up for the world. As he even I think he says Dr. Zola says, we realize that you couldn't force people to surrender their freedom, or
they have to willingly surrender.
Yeah, they have to willingly surrender their freedom. So they've created chaos so that there's a desire for security and oversight.
Yeah.
And then
so to break down those similarities, you have your guy on top that no one knows is evil. It was just Pierce is the Emperor.
That's Robert Redford.
Yeah, manipulating everyone. You have the thug doing all the heavy lifting, which is Darth Vader, and killing everyone that needs to be killed.
You kind of, with that, is the Winter Soldier. You're behind the scenes killer.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's more like your Darth Maul.
I was gonna say
he's
Darth
like
Maul.
your Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And then you have.
Does that make Captain America Obi-Wan?
Oh, if only. Yeah. Well, but then that gets complicated because then Winter Soldier should be Anakin.
You were like a brother to me. Oh man.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. No. Sorry. Never mind. I'll save it. I'll save my question for the end.
And then
I got a stumper for you, Logan. Are you ready for it?
You have Pierce setting
You're
up...
not ready for it.
Not yet.
You don't even know.
You have Pierce...
I'm going to destroy your dreams.
You have Pierce setting up the people willingly surrender their freedoms, causing war and division.
Yeah.
Just like Palpatine does at the beginning of Civil War. I mean, at the beginning of the Clone Wars. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool
is
parallels.
Nick Fury like Bail Organa or like Padme or Leia?
I don't know. We're getting too... He's Mace freaking Windu.
Yeah, he is. Okay. What was it like?
What? No, talk about your Star Trek, your Star Wars thing.
No, I actually got that from Mr. Sunday Movies. He makes a joke.
He's the guy on YouTube that makes cool videos. You should go check it out.
And he also has a podcast. But
Weekly Planet.
In Steve's little notebook of things he has to catch up on that he's missed while he's been on ice, Star Wars is on the list. And Mr. Sundays makes a joke about how watching Star Wars must have been a wild ride for him because Samuel Jackson plays Mace Windu.
It's so good. So good. Well, and then the Project Insight helicarriers are essentially serving the same function as the Death Star, which is to keep order in line, to eliminate chaos.
Yeah.
And to subjugate those who can't be subjugated or could rebel.
The governors will keep the rebel systems in line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nick Fury is more like Krennic. I love
Krennic.
getting to see the clash of the philosophy between Nick Fury and Steve Rogers. Like Rogers saying, "This isn't order. This is fear.
Yeah,
this isn't justice."
Yeah, I think one of the greatest themes in the movie.
It's cool to see. Well, it's cool to see your good guys not necessarily being in the not agreeing and not being in the philosophically best place.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest themes in the movie is trust, and you see it between Steve and Natasha. They have a lot of conversations about it. One of my favorite scenes is about trust between the two of them. But this whole thing with Nick Fury and Captain, like they set off the tone from the beginning. Actually, even in on the what's it called, Lumerian Star?
Yeah.
Even in that scene, the ship scene at the beginning, Steve's really upset with Widow because she's doing this little secret mission on the side, and he's like, if I can't trust you to be a part of the team, like bad stuff can happen. Right. And then he takes it out on Fury because it's Fury who made that call.
Right. Which I agree with. I'm fine with compartmentalization like that. But Cap is just reacting to the only team he's ever worked on before was the Howling Commandos, where everyone was on the same playing field trying to
on the same page.
Yeah, there was no need for compartmentalization or stuff like that. And then the Avengers, which was a team for half a day, and then everyone went to go get shawarma and go home.
Yeah. Similar, like what you were saying about seeing his power upgrades, just your comment about the Howling Commandos, like, I appreciate that, like, we kind of get this sense, both from, like, that montage in the first film, he's been on lots of missions with the Howling Commandos, and just that we kind of have this idea that in between the Avengers and this film, Steve's arc, he's been doing work. He's been going on missions. We don't have to have a lot of explanation for his power gain or like his new combat abilities. Like, but also I think another big theme in this movie is Steve figuring out his place in the world, figuring out how he fits. And for a while, he's just been working at S.H.I.E.L.D. and he's having these conversations with Fury. And then shortly after, he has a conversation with Peggy.
Yeah. So let's talk about that Peggy scene.
Well, I'll finish my thought. These conversations kind of show like he's just been working at S.H.I.E.L.D. because it's what he knows. He kind of fell back to, he woke up in this place. He's been doing what he's familiar with. The SSR became S.H.I.E.L.D. He's kind of fighting bad guys, trying to keep the world safe. But he's realizing it's kind of more of like the spy stuff. There's a lot of secrets. There's Black Widow and there's Nick Fury. And he doesn't, there's a lot of this kind of stuff. Like what you see in Avengers where he like grabs the Hydra gear on the helicarrier. He's like, there's secrets. And I think by the end of the movie, he's figuring out more his place in this world, which is he doesn't have one.
Right, that's the whole point of this movie.
Yeah.
So that's what
that Peggy Carter scene. Though.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about with Peggy. He's like, I tried to throw myself in, but actually, it's not the same.
I think. Wow, I just had a little bit of revelation. I think that Peggy scene coupled with Civil War, Civil War kind of puts the nail in the coffin. But
literally. Yeah,
there you go. Pause for our listeners to stop listening to us for that joke. Sorry, guys. We love Peggy. We don't hate her. She's great. But I think this scene is it's a goodbye, both for Steve and for the audience, of that like time in his life to like be like, that's his last connection to before he woke up, to like World War II days. And like she's going to be gone.
Yeah, it's essentially, it's the last time we see Peggy on screen. And it's the Steve never got his dance.
Yeah.
So we get to address that, and we get to see them together. Yeah. And
that scene is heart-wrenching.
So the first time I saw it, putting the philosophical stuff aside, on a purely emotional level, that scene wrecked me the first time I saw
Yeah.
it. And every time I do see it, like I get extremely emotional every time. It's so the chemistry that Chris Evans and Haley Atwell, like even with the prosthetics and makeup and CGI, their performances and their chemistry just shines through so well.
Yeah.
It's so well written. It's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
to see them like have these conversations and talk about these deep issues on two people that really the only person right now that understands who Steve is.
Oh, yeah.
And really gets
Definitely.
Steve on that deeper level.
Yeah.
It's really cool to get to see that and to see them reunited and to get that kind of payoff from the end of Cap 1. And then the reveal that she has Alzheimer's is just a punch to the gut.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It also doesn't feel like too
Emotionally manipulative.
yeah. Or like shoehorned in. You know,
No.
I feel like that could have easily been just something to service the fans. Be like, look, he gets to see Peggy. You know, I was surprised.
I was too.
When I watched that in the theaters, I wasn't expecting to get a scene like that. And so I was happy when we did, you know. Let's move on to kind of the whole
Nick Fury car chase.
well,
That's what's next.
okay, I was gonna kind of, because we already kind of chatted about his car a little bit, but
We'll just talk about our brief thoughts about that.
all right, you tell me what you
I
want to
freaking
chat.
love this car chase. It's awesome.
Yeah, you're more excited
seeing Nick
than I
Fury
am.
get to really throw down with all these Hydra
It
goons.
is super cool.
It's so great.
And also, it's nice to have
So many great action moments.
We've just had minimal action from Nick Fury.
yeah, all
mostly
you had
in
to was like
Avengers.
shoot some guys in Avengers and fire
he's
the
a
rocket
boss
at the Quinjet.
when he does.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great to see him on the run, no help.
Yeah.
Minimal technological help as well. Just really throw down and
Using his wits
Yeah.
and his like abilities.
and just being able to see his character in all those moments is awesome.
You love that moment when he's like, "Give me the wheel."
Yeah.
Like,
or like when he deploys the countermeasures and just takes out a bunch of
'Cause
Hydra goons.
You know, that's exactly what Nick Fury would do.
Yeah.
Like, he has his technology and he's got the best there is, but like when it comes down to it, he's like,
He doesn't need it.
Give me the wheel. Is the sun coming up? You know.
Then put it on the left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the Nick Fury who has all the gadgets, but he's been around the block himself, you know.
Yeah, that whole action sequence is awesome and one of my favorite like car chase action sequences that I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Tell our listeners about the best drift of all
So
time.
there's a shot where Nick Fury in the Suburban does a drift, and the
in the
camera.
Suburban?
Yeah, it's a black Suburban.
I thought it was like an Escalade or something.
Escalade. Well, it's okay. What's the
It's an SUV.
An SUV.
It's a black SUV.
black SUV? So he does a drift, and the camera it's like a crane shot swings with him as he does the drift. And I remember the first time I saw that shot. Well, just till to this day, whenever that shot happens, I feel 100% in the motion and energy of that drift. And it gives me chills every time. I love it's my favorite drift I've ever seen in any car chase.
It is an incredible shot.
It's awesome. It's so cool.
It's a Ford. Nah, it doesn't matter.
It's an SUV. It's a black SUV. You've seen them in a million different action movies.
It's not Ford. I take it back. It's Dodge. But
And then the reveal of the Winter Soldier there at the end is
that
so
is
great.
the
So
best shot
seeing
in that scene
the
for me.
music change, seeing the outline of a figure with a
Yep.
silver arm through the windshield.
yeah, his first
blurred
appearance
out.
in the movie.
Him shooting a thing under the car, just taking down
Yeah,
doing what all these guys couldn't do
you feel his
for like
menace.
5 minutes. Yes.
You feel how dangerous he is, especially in Fury's reaction. In that when Fury when that happens and the car flips over, Fury doesn't get out of the car and try to run on the street.
No, he flips on his lightsaber and cuts a hole in the floor.
Yeah, he does. He Jedi's out of there.
Hardcore. Yeah.
So let's kind of cover. I like the scene in Cap's house with Fury, but let's kind of
it's
move
so
on
good.
to, because we gotta save time. Just kind of in general, the Natasha Steve segment of the movie where they're kind of on the run. They do a few
let's talk
different
about the
things.
escape from the awesome action sequences that
Oh,
is the
that's
escape
right.
from the Triskelion.
Okay, I love the escape from the Triskelion.
It's so sick.
It really calls back to in Civil War when Cap first kind of becomes a fugitive from S.H.I.E.L.D. and the government. He leaps out of a helicarrier
In the comic Civil War.
Yeah.
He dies
while it's in the air. And
that he dies in.
You don't have to keep bringing it
That
up.
he dies in.
Okay. He's not dead. Hashtag he comes back. It's actually a very hard. I'm pretty sure that the
he
comic,
doesn't actually die in that comic. He dies in
I'm pretty sure
Captain
the comic
America.
that he dies in is called The Death of Captain America.
Yeah, it's in the Ed Brubaker run.
Yeah. Anyways, it's an incredible comic.
Shortly after Civil War is when he dies.
Right after.
Yep.
Do you want to know who does it?
What?
I said, do you want to know who does it?
Who doesn't?
We'll comment you. Comment if you want to know who does it. Who
kills him? Yeah.
Anyways, but
he's in this movie.
That escape from the Triskelion. There's an awesome action where they're Cap and a bunch of guys are packed into an elevator. It's a very memorable moment, and I enjoy it a lot.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Yeah.
And then it just goes to crap from there, and it's so awesome. This movie is bookended by amazing character moments.
Yeah,
and also within those action sequences, amazing character moments.
That's what I was. I think you're totally on to just one of the.
All the action
gems
is
of this
driven
movie.
by character.
Yes,
and that continues into Civil War.
Yeah.
It's why the action in Civil War is also so memorable. The airport sequence is always completely driven by character the whole time.
Story and plot and character don't take a back seat or even a sidecar seat to action and choreography. Those things augment.
Shout out to sidecars.
Accent. Yeah,
they're dope.
like you see
hashtag Sir Topham Hat.
All the Winter Soldiers. Do you say Sir Topham Hat?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Thomas the Tank Engine reference for anyone listening at home.
Yeah. Bro, we got to get on that.
Oh, we're gonna do it. There will be an episode one day.
Thomas and the Magic Railroad.
Thomas and the Tank Engine and the Magic Railroad.
Yeah. Logan and I, we bonded over childhood.
We have
memories.
a deep love for that film.
Where were you?
Where were you? So good.
What was
no
I
one's gonna get
talking
that
about?
reference.
Jeez, man.
You were talking about we were talking about the escape from the Triskelion. So he takes down all the guys in the elevator.
And the character moments in action scenes. The choreography is like, you know how sometimes you watch a movie and we're having it almost feels like drama, acting, action.
Yeah,
and then there's
everyone's
a fight,
brain shuts off.
And then the fight is over and suddenly the actors are back on set and now we're talking to each other.
Every
again.
Transformers film.
Yeah, exactly. So, but this movie, that's not it. I also think a huge part of that is just in the filmmaking process. Knowing when to use your stunt doubles and when to use your actors.
Yep. And this film, during all of its action sequences, do a great job of either hiding the stunt doubles or having your actors do a ton of the stunt work. Yeah, and really put in the work and deliver convincing performances and kill a lot. The actors actually do a lot of the action sequences in this film, and it's awesome, and it shows.
You know what I actually, just on a short side note, what I wonder about is maybe it's just that Ryan Coogler wasn't maybe he's just not experienced in a lot of action scenes.
Hashtag Creed.
Did he do Creed?
Yeah.
But that's boxing.
But it's still having your actors do a whole lot of the work.
That's true. Michael B. Jordan did. Did get knocked out.
It's a lot of those action sequences in Creed are done by the actual actors. Yeah. So it's just a directing choice.
Okay. Anyways, I don't have much more to say about the Triskelion stuff.
It's awesome. It's super.
It's
sick.
really cool.
Him taking down the Quinjet.
The Quinjet is
sick.
great.
I love seeing Natasha and Steve on the run, getting to go back to their to the camp in Avengers 1 and Cap 1. Yeah. That speaks to one of my favorite things about this film is it pushes the character of Cap and his world in exciting new different directions, but it still builds on the first film in an amazing way and really enhances the first film and takes what's the first film put in place and set up in Cap's world and just enriches it further.
Stuff with
and
S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's what a sequel
stuff with
should
Bucky,
do.
Stuff
and
with
that's actually
Zola.
one of my gripes with a movie like Batman Begins to Dark Knight. Dark Knight kind of just moves on from a lot of stuff from
Yeah,
Begins,
that's true.
and it kind of stands alone as its own thing.
Yeah, there's not a ton of
This
connection.
movie doesn't do that. This movie is very much, this is a sequel, but we're taking it up a notch,
Yeah,
which is what a sequel should be. And that's what Guardians does well too.
yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about some of the Steve and Natasha stuff?
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is so after they've been kind of blown up at the camp,
Which is a great scene. The Arnim Zola reveal, the reveal that Hydra is within S.H.I.E.L.D.
it's
all that
almost
stuff.
like
it
a
blew
Luke,
my mind the first time watching it, and it's still like an amazing twist.
It's
that
an
really
Empire Strikes Back twist,
level
like,
twist, and
yeah.
I love that I didn't find out about that twist before I saw the movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It was so cool, and it really like added an urgency to the rest of the universe, and it really impacted the universe in a huge way, and I loved it. I still love it.
So post that scene, Steve and Natasha. Well, Steve saves her. He like holds up a shield. The whole like bunker is coming crashing down on them, and he like holds up the shield and he protects them.
They head over to Sam Wilson's house.
Yeah, and they go to Sam
then
Wilson's house.
Chris Evans puts on
A
beautiful white wife beater,
Beautiful.
like
you know what I just
Wolverine
realized?
status,
Like-
and he looks so good.
From a directing like he's wearing white, she's wearing like they're both wearing like tank tops and kind of like undergarments, but he's wearing white and she's wearing black.
Oh,
And just kind of like, so I like how in this movie you have kind of Captain America's juxtaposed against Nick Fury and Black Widow specifically as these dark characters who kind of live in this dark kind of
shadowy world with a lot of secrets where who you are is whoever you say you
and
are.
she says in the car with him once that like truth is kind of like what you make it and like circumstantial.
And who you are is kind of what you make yourself to be.
She's like, I can make myself be anybody.
Who do you want me to be? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, she says
and
that.
all Steve says is, I just want a friend.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. As you
Somebody
see
he can trust.
The beginning of the film, he doesn't trust Natasha.
Yeah. And I think what Natasha realizes is whether or not Steve trusts her, she can trust him, and it's not because he is that
and it doesn't make him weak.
Yeah.
It only makes him stronger.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have to do everything on her own, and she doesn't have to rely on herself, because relying on herself has only taught her that everything she's done before this is a lie.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of left broken.
Exactly. I love her kind of resolution.
She needs
at the
other
ending
people,
of
and
this
she
film.
needs to figure out who she is.
Yeah. I like that. Like, gosh, the screenwriting is just so good.
It's Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. They wrote Cap 1. They wrote this movie. They wrote Civil War, and they're writing Infinity War.
Aren't they writing Infinity War?
Yeah. It's that writing
just because
team.
like she's not in like a ton of the first half of the movie, like, and then but she has one of the best resolutions at the end. I think like throwing all of her secrets.
She has to go find out. This movie like turns who she thinks she is upside down. She has to go find out actually who she is.
Yeah,
and it sets everything perfectly up for her relationship with Bruce in Age of Ultron.
I just love that. Even though we have like some evidence of Steve wrestling with who he is and wrestling with, kind of like compromising.
How does he fit into society?
And like, the gray areas of justice and truth. Mm-hmm. Like he wrestles with those, but we still see him as a resolute character, as this person who's going to do what's right because it's right.
Yeah.
Like,
and you still see that struggle in Civil War. And especially when Sharon quotes Peggy during Peggy's funeral, and Sharon says that Peggy says that compromise where you can, but stand firm when you don't.
Yeah,
something along that lines, and that Steve takes that to the heart, and that's part of what he learns in this movie.
Yeah, I think he learns in this movie that right isn't necessarily associated with different groups or
an entity or a flag
or nationalities, and he says that in Civil War. Like, it's very powerful, I think, by that point. Let's move on to bridge scene.
Yeah,
that actually I think the
shout out
the main thing
to
to say
Senator
about that,
Stearns from Iron Man 2 being brought back from
brought back
and the reveal that he's Hydra with Sitwell. That's so cool.
I like the whole Sitwell interrogation scene. It's a
great
good
reveal
moment
of Falcon.
levity. Great reveal for Falcon.
Falcon's awesome. I love Anthony Mackie's great. Sam Wilson's great.
Yeah.
Nothing but amazing things to say. Yeah, that whole Winter Soldier attack on the bridge where he takes out Sitwell and just goes after each one of Cap's team is amazing and so well choreographed. Probably my favorite action sequence in the whole film.
I like how terrifying he is, and I think you're right.
I love how everyone is terrified of him.
I think
he's like the Terminator on steroids. This unstoppable force, devoid of morality.
I haven't watched enough of the Terminator movies, but
that's the comparison that I make. He's very much like the Terminator, where he's this unstoppable force, devoid of morality and emotion. Yeah, just destroying.
I love that one shot where Natasha she shoots him in the eye. He has like these goggles on, these bulletproof goggles, and she hits him in the eye though.
Oh, and it pisses him off.
And he takes off the goggles, and then like he just shoots without. He just like
unloads. He sprays the bridge down below.
So good. I think it's time to move on to the finale, bro.
Let's talk about the that showdown between Bucky and Cap.
Oh yeah, that fight.
There. So where it's revealed that that Bucky is the Winter Soldier. And that Bucky's still alive and Cap has to deal with that. Yeah. It's such a well choreographed fight. The knife work that Sebastian Stan does is great in it.
Oh yeah.
It's so there's such
like
great
the use
energy.
Of the shield. Like it's not
seeing
there for
Bucky
the whole
with
fight,
the shield.
But it's there for some of it. Yeah, seeing it kind of go back and forth. I like it as both as a weapon and as like this item that both people are kind of dealing with. You know how kind of like sometimes in a fight, like there's like a person holding a knife, but you can like the two players get locked, and it's like the person who is holding their knife, it's getting pressed towards their own like body or something like that.
Revenge of the Sith. When Obi-Wan's on the ground and Anakin's on the top.
Yeah, it's cool to see like the same type of things happen with the shield, where like Bucky's the one holding the shield and wielding it as a weapon against Cap, and he's having to like dodge out of the way of it. Those kinds of things. It's really long.
I love how fearful Falcon is, how fearful Natasha is. Natasha gets shot in a great moment.
Yeah.
And Steve would have died, but Falcon and Natasha had Bucky. I've had Cap's back in that moment. Yeah. When Cap's startled by the reveal of who Bucky really is and who the Winter Soldier really is. I think it's the fight is the choreography is superior in that battle to their final battle at the end. Even though I love the final battle between Cap and Bucky, I think this is the best quality showdown.
You can tell this is the one that they put their time and choreography to.
Yeah, some of the biggest emotional stakes in the movie.
Oh yeah, especially because of the reveal at the end. And I like, comic book fans know it's coming, but like it's very powerful. Especially, I can't imagine what that would have been like for people who didn't know it was Bucky.
I imagine they would have known because they either would have known it was coming, or they didn't even know who Bucky was.
I was gonna say that.
The only thing they would have known Bucky was from the Smithsonian visit at the beginning of the movie.
Can you say that again?
Smithsonian. Yeah, I can say it. Suck it.
Smithsonian. Sorry.
I'm a slithery snake.
I think Logan's getting a little tired. Yeah, I like that both of the major fights, like the major encounters that Cap has with Bucky, he wins.
Totally.
It builds
he's
up
the superior
to the
fighter. Even when
moment.
he gets shot a bunch of times there at the end, stabbed by a knife, he still wins.
Yeah.
He's a boss.
Let's move on. Let's cover the finale.
Yeah, it's very much like a Star Wars finale in the sense like it has three different things going on. You have what Falcon's doing, you have what Cap's doing. Well, it's more than three. You have what Widow's doing, you have what Agent Hill's doing. Even like there's lots of
Hill is standing at a computer.
Yeah,
saying.
She's just looking at crap, calling the shots. She's kind of the Admiral Akbar of the final battle.
Let's hit like.
There's lots of. I just love how
moments.
there's lots of different characters doing lots of different things.
Yeah,
and it's cutting between all the different things.
Yeah,
it just has a great energy in like a classic Star Wars way.
What do you think is your favorite moment in the finale? Let's exclude that final shot, that final thing, the dramatic moment between Steve and Bucky.
That's my favorite part.
I know, no, but we're going to talk about that by itself. So your other favorite moment in the finale.
There's so many great stuff.
Yeah.
Probably all the SHIELD agents turning on each other. And it's like the Mexican standoff in the control room.
I was
having that is seeing that, and then seeing the Hydra SHIELD agents turn on the actual SHIELD agents is super cool.
I was gonna say that too, especially that moment in the control center.
The step when Rumlow like tries to get the guy to preempt the launch, and then Sharon pulls a gun on him, and then everyone pulls a gun on each other. It's super cool.
It's so powerful because you have this nerdy guy kind of at a computer, and you get the sense that even though he's an agent of SHIELD, he's just a guy who comes in. He just works at that station, like he goes home. You know, and he's so relatable to us because we feel like
he's the everyman, and he
exactly
has the chance to be a hero or not to be a hero.
He has a chance to be faced with a difficult decision where his life is on the line, and to make that
make that call. But because of Cap's speech, he's inspired to be better.
Yeah,
and to make the hero call.
I think
that speaks to the moral impetus behind Captain America. Is like Superman, represents the best of us,
and he inspires
us to be a better version of what we already are.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so cool.
I think that's one of the primary, like, I think from a writing standpoint, that was one of their big scenes for like we need to include this. We're gonna hit home like the message of this film. Mm-hmm. Like, I think other notable mentions: Nick Fury's.
Taking off his eye patch. You need to keep both eyes open.
I like kind of how there's tension in that whole like boardroom scene. Mm-hmm. Even though there's not like a lot of fighting going on, you feel the dramatic tension there and how it mounts with what's happening elsewhere in the finale.
Totally. When we cut to the World Security Council scene, you don't get bored. I don't get bored at all. No, there's the stakes
even though
it's
a board meeting.
Yeah, it's awesome. Also, another like highlight moment is when Bucky takes down Falcon.
I was gonna say
just dismantles and wrecks him. It's awesome.
Clips his wings.
Yeah,
so
rounded.
Good. Man,
that's one of my favorite moments. Such a great finale. So many awesome action moments. Some of the best action in the MCU still.
Let's jump into that fight. So we made this observation as we were watching. It's a really good. First off, Cap is fighting Bucky and he wins in just kind of an all-out fight. It's super intense. He's holding him on the ground. He has to hold his metal arm down with his legs, and he chokes him out so that way he can climb
breaks
up.
his arm. Not his metal arm, but his regular arm.
Breaks his regular arm. And then he does, after getting shot at 5 times?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he finally gets
stabbed by a knife in the shoulder.
Codes in. It's
where
super
are the
good.
targets?
Yeah.
Shout out to that random
character.
Hydra dude.
Yeah.
Where are the targets? He has such a great accent. He just sounds sounds so good.
Oh my gosh.
My favorite moment in that battle is the Cap throwing away the shield and saying,
dropping
you can finish your mission because I'm here with you to the end of your line. It's the Luke throwing away the saber moment.
Yeah.
And choosing to not to fight, but to love. And it's that love that truly transforms Bucky. And it's what truly transforms Darth Vader as well.
Well, I actually think you mean eventually.
Yes.
I was going to say,
eventually.
I think in that moment, something
falls.
It
sets Bucky on the path.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because after
just like it sets Vader on the path. Because remember, it takes Vader a couple minutes of baby Luke getting shocked by lightning in order for him to throw Papa Palpatine over the edge.
Yeah. A couple minutes of Luke getting shocked. Jeez. Vader's just like, do I want to be good?
Smells like burnt chicken.
Jeez. I like
no
how you kind of have
fried chicken.
Fried?
Because he's getting fried by electricity.
Yeah, I think
I can have a pun too.
I don't know. Sure.
It works.
I like how we can have this like action and like combat climax and have like an end to that fight and then we get to have this separate dramatic climax between Cap and Bucky after kind of everything else is sort
Another
of
Star
toned
Wars
down.
parallel. You have in Last Jedi. You have Rey and
huge
Kylo versus the
Praetorian
Praetorian
battle.
Guards, but the emotional moment and the emotional climax
Is
of
Luke
that
and Kylo.
is in that battle is after the Praetorian Guards are finished. It's the show,
you're
the
talking
philosophical
about-
join
yeah.
me showdown between Rey and Kylo.
Yeah.
That's the big moment in that.
I thought you were talking about like because that's not even the climax of the movie.
No, I'm talking about the climax of that moment.
Yeah. Speaking of the climax of the movie, and we've made so many Star Wars references tonight, but
Just so you listeners know, Star Wars is so dear to Ian and I's hearts, and we easily
so
could do
dear.
our own Star Wars podcast.
It could just
and we're gonna
be
get to Star
solely a
Wars.
Star Wars
We're gonna
podcast.
get to Star Wars time.
Yeah.
Trust me.
On a side note, if any of you guys are Rebels fans out there, like we know Rebels has come out, but we've been so busy like doing our MCU review. We'll give it time.
Yeah.
When time is afforded.
There's so much Star Wars stuff that we're gonna get to. It's gonna be glorious. But right now we're in Marvel land.
Marvel Land, we shall stay for now. Until infinity
No,
and beyond.
and then we get Solo time.
You didn't like my Infinity War joke?
Oh yeah, I get it. I get it now.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah. And then it's Solo
And I
time.
love how the end of the line moment, going back to that
Yes.
that
Back in
between
Winter
Steve Bucket,
Soldier.
back to Winter Soldier. I love how it calls back to that where we see Steve and Bucky in the 1940s after Steve's mom has died, and you see Bucky like. He's basically pledging his unrequited love for Steve on his doorstep, just saying that, just hey, you're my best friend and I love you and you don't have to do this alone.
Yeah.
And I'm with you to the end of the line.
Yeah.
And you see, because of that love, Steve is able to show that same love to Bucky, and it ends up transforming him.
Yeah. And we're not talking about like a romantic love.
Yeah.
We mean just like
I was making a joke there.
like a brother. But it is there. That's like true. That is truly like laying your life down like for that person. And it's very powerful.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then Bucky, and then you have the amazing shot of Steve falling to the water, and then Bucky fishing him out of the Potomac.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome.
Other
I love how this movie doesn't wrap up Bucky and Steve. In this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's still, you're still left in a very precarious place, and I love it.
We need it for Civil War. I think like another thing that's just very good with the major themes of this movie, how it ties in, is the whole thing about like, Steve is kind of saying goodbye to the world of old, to 1940s and everything. But when he realizes that, like, we have this emotional scene where he is kind of, things are getting wrapped up with him and Peggy, but then the reveal that Bucky is here, his best friend, and we get this flashback to that, like you're saying, that moment.
And and little Steve looks just as good as normal.
Oh yeah,
yeah, such great effects.
But we just have, like, you just see how foundational his relationship with Bucky is to his character, and just like all of that, and like realizing that Bucky is still alive and he can still like have somebody. It's all that we were saying from the beginning. Like somebody who gets him, somebody who has shared experience, somebody who knows what he's been through and knows who he is and the era he's from, and like, can be a partner like with him in this world, and like the hope he has for restoring Bucky to like his senses and everything. I'm excited for Infinity War in that aspect.
I'm excited to see the White Wolf chapter of Bucky.
Yeah. I'm excited for my prediction is Sebastian Stan has quite a few more movies on his contract.
Oh yeah, he does. I believe
he's totally capped.
At the time of First Avenger, he signed for 9 films.
He's totally Captain America.
We'll see.
I think you have more to explore with Sam Wilson as Falcon before he goes in that direction.
Yeah.
So one last thing, prediction wise, and then I have a big question for you.
Well, but we also need to talk about Pierce. We haven't talked about Pierce at all.
That's true. I don't have much to say. Okay. Prediction wise, I don't know how many other films Chris Evans has, but I would love some I love some Steve Rogers, Carol Danvers action. I'd be all over that.
That would be interesting.
I'd be down for that. Post Infinity War.
No, I'm not down for that because then that gets in the way of Sharon. And
I don't care about Sharon.
I care about Sharon.
I mean, like,
read your Ed Brubaker Captain America.
No,
I care about Sharon.
I've actually
also that one of the best moments of Civil War when Cap starts making out with Sharon in front of the bug, and you have Falcon and you have a Bucky just giving him the bro nod.
Yeah.
Such a great moment.
Listen, I like that moment. And I like Sharon, but I don't know if there's enough there. Like, I don't know if the fans care about it enough, like, overall. You know? I don't know if Sharon has enough of a character. This
isn't another Natalie Portman situation, I can guarantee you.
Okay, I'll take that. Moving on. Let's chat about Pierce before my big question.
Yeah. I love Pierce. Pierce is one of my favorite Marvel villains.
I think he's very good. I like how he's calm and collected throughout the whole movie. I love his relationship with Nick Fury and his history. Oh yeah,
and how they're basically two sides of the same coin.
Yeah,
where they're both two skeptical, realistic people.
Yeah,
but one just took that path to its logical conclusion, which is that freedom is an illusion and there needs to be order.
Yeah,
and without order, there's chaos.
I love like the line that Nick Fury throws out about him, where he's like, "This man was once offered the Nobel Peace Prize," and he says, "Peace isn't." Earned, or what was it? It's a responsibility. Peace isn't an award, it's a responsibility.
Yeah, so great.
Yeah,
I love Pierce, and yeah, I understand who he is, I understand his motivations, and the performance is interesting, and he serves as like
what's
the
your
face
favorite
and head
Pierce
of
moment?
I like it when he shoots Wanda or whatever, not Wanda, but
his like Renata,
that's great. I don't really have like a standout Pierce moment. He's just a consistent, solid villain throughout. Yeah. I really enjoy Pierce.
Yeah, I compared him to some of your like.
He's higher on my Marvel list, villain list for me.
I think he's comparable to some like Tom Clancy film villains, like your kind of Jack Ryan.
Yeah, totally.
You like
which
kind
is
of political,
similar to
but
the
military.
Film of this, to the tone of this film.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, so finale. You have this huge fight, this climactic fight, this epic fight between two, you might call brothers, and this dramatic, just heart-wrenching, near-death experience, where one lays his life down for the other. So I have to ask you, Logan. Obi-Wan and Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, or Captain America.
I knew this question was coming when we were watching this film. I knew this question was coming. That's an easy question. It's Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Oh, really?
100%.
I think performance-wise, this movie.
Obi-Wan and Anakin. Better fight.
Better fight?
Better fight.
What about the fight in the middle of the movie on the bridge?
That's great, but that's not the final showdown.
No, I like that fight better than the fight at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Dude.
I think the choreography is better.
For me, the Battle on Mustafar is the greatest fight sequence of all time.
Yeah. We'll get into.
I love it so much.
Fans,
Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie. I love that movie so much.
Ultimate fans, you can get in on the comments on that. You can start slashing Logan now. I'm actually on Logan's team.
There is nothing in this whole movie that rivals "You are my brother, Anakin."
Oh, I think that because I'm with you to the end of the line.
That's close. It's close, but you were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. That whole speech on the lava. Very, very few things in any movie that grabs my heart, puts it on the counter, and stabs it with a knife than that scene. So good.
Yeah. What about Coco?
Coco's great, but it doesn't have lightsabers. And it's not Star Wars.
Well, let's wrap up, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
This
is my favorite Marvel movie. Hands down, I love it. But here's what's interesting about this. I don't know when I watch Civil War, I don't know if I'm going to put over Winter Soldier or not.
So
That's my big question.
yeah.
I love both films, but I think there's just more emotion in Winter Soldier for me that puts it over the top.
What?
No, just like the end of the line, like the Bucky Cap stuff.
Okay.
That's my favorite parts of Civil War.
Yeah.
And for me, Winter Soldier is all about that. I think Winter Soldier to me is a tighter, better, more cohesive film
Yeah.
that I think I enjoy more than Civil War, but that could change when I watch Civil War.
I think you're right in that it is more succinct. They're both Russo brothers.
Yeah. Both same teams.
Yeah.
I think the action's better in Winter Soldier as well. I know this is the big airport sequence.
Overall,
I think
right.
there's the big airport sequence.
It's harder to get.
But there's so many great. I don't think there's lots of cool moments in the airport sequence, but there's nothing that beats the Lumerian Star sequence as well as the Bucky Cap bridge fight.
You're right. Yeah, I think we'll see when we get there. But just in like going off my recollections, yeah, there's a lot more moving pieces in that airport scene. Just a lot. There's a lot more CGI, a lot more moving characters. Pieces, less practical effects.
I enjoy the grounded nature, the more grounded nature of Winter Soldier than I do Civil War.
I'm gonna withhold right now. Civil War is above Winter Soldier for me, and I'll keep it there for now. Winter Soldier is number 2 for me. I do love it a lot. And actually, I'll admit this. Before we watched it, I couldn't quite remember why it was so high. Like I knew I loved it, but I felt like I just kind of put it up there because I remembered enjoying it a lot.
Yeah.
But I'd only seen the movie like twice before this.
Really?
Yeah. And I just knew like everybody else like talked about how much they loved it. I was like, yeah, it was probably pretty good. I'll put it up. I remember not liking other movies like Ultron as much. So I was like, yeah. So it just kind of, other things just naturally fell beneath it. But now I can confidently say it's number 2 on my list. And after
could make a play for number 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm kind of withholding until we get to Civil War, which is just around the bend, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming up close.
Top 4 for me right now, just to recap, is Winter Soldier at number 1, Civil War at number 2, The Avengers at number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy at number 4, and I'll say my top 5 one is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 at number 5.
Yeah. I think, Guardians of the Galaxy is up there for me too. I mean, Volume 5.
Volume 5.
Volume
we
2.
have time travel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm from the future, Marty.
Are you ready to wrap up now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, speaking of what's coming up next, we've got Guardians after this. Speaking of Guardians, Guardians after this, then Age of Ultron. It's right there.
Which is a very divisive one that's lower on my list, but I'm looking forward to watching, and I hope I like it more.
I enjoy it.
I enjoy it too, but it's just disappointing.
I like it more.
Especially coming after the greatness of this film.
You can hey, if you've enjoyed our conversation today, if you've liked what you've heard, if you want to get in on this conversation, why don't you give us a like or follow us? We've got a Facebook page, we've got an Instagram page, we've got a Twitter page, all at Ultimate Fan Podcast. We also have an email. If you want to have a little bit longer form discussion specifically with us, send us an email, your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your concerns, and we'll interact with you that way. That's ultimatefanpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, why don't you post a comment on this podcast? Who's the best? Do you think Winter Soldier is the best villain? Do you think Guy Pearce?
I think Winter Soldier's a villain.
His name's not Guy. It starts with an A. What is Guy Pearce from?
Guy Pearce?
Yeah.
That's Killian.
Oh, that's the actor.
Yeah, that's Aldrich Killian.
But is Winter Soldier your top movie?
Alexander Pierce? Is that who you're trying to say?
Yeah, I was trying to say Alexander. Okay. Anyways, is Winter Soldier your top movie? Is it the best Cap movie? Is it the best movie we've seen so far?
In the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know all your thoughts.
If you disagree with us,
we'd love to comment and talk about it.
Love to hear that too. Also, you can give us a like, give us a subscribe. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, thanks once again for joining us on Ultimate Fan Podcast. We'll see you next time.